Okay, so let's just do a quick recap how our brains try to solve shame, part two. And our real self, like I said, is constantly getting the message that we're not good enough. We are then developing this shame-based self-critic because we're trying to live up to this self-proposed self, this ideal self, which we can't achieve. So we then, because we fall short of the mark every single time, the critic will come in and be like, yeah, see, you messed up again. You can't reach this ideal. Only when I reach this ideal, then I can feel good about myself. Okay. So this is creating this cycle, and it just gets worse and worse. But there's still a part of you that wants to be loved. It wants to feel worth. And it is still asking that question, how can I fit in? I'm not going to reveal my real self. I can't show my real self because that real self got rejected. I need to do something else. I need to create a plan. I need to pretend to be funny. I need to have a really good story. I need to exaggerate. I need to hide. I can't even put myself out there. I need to hide. I need to be a recluse. So you see how the persona then protects us. Okay, so we're going to get into that. And this persona, we're going to develop this idea, and it's called parts. All right, and it's from a psychotherapist called Richard Schwartz, who developed something called IFS, and I'm going to be talking about that more in later slides. But you kind of get the idea. This is I'm just laying the foundation here. So we hide, we overcompensate, but we're still trying to get love. We're still trying to get respect. And this is the big thing I said in the previous slide. The brain literally just thinks that it's solving the problem by creating this inner critic. This is a defense mechanism. And like I said, this is a part of you. This is a whole personality, in fact, but we're not going to go into that just yet. So the solution then is to never show vulnerability, and also never be real, never show authenticity, because if we show authenticity and it gets rejected, what does it say about us? So we play a role, we want to be a pleaser. People pleasing comes from this. The nice guy syndrome comes from this. Obviously, a really good book on that is No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Garver. Some children realize that they can be always helping. They always help the parents. Parents develop this in later years, and with Munchausen syndrome, where they never want the child to leave, because that child then becomes the source of their validation. They are parents. So they pretend that the child's sick. All right, that's a pretty serious situation. Also, the comedian, the class clown. You probably saw that at school. You had the class clown that got his validation from making everybody laugh, and then obviously the perfectionist, and then the person that isolates, can't face anybody. I'm so shameful. I'm such a bad person. I'm such a loser. I don't want to be a burden to anybody else. I'll just stay in. I can't face anybody. I can't look anybody in the eye. I better not go out there and socialize. Pretty self-explanatory when you don't like yourself, right? So another one is the external image you believe. Like, for example, beautiful women probably have this, where their only source of validation, maybe they internally they have shame, and they don't like themselves, but they get a kick out of being better than everybody else, being better looking than everybody else, and they get validation from rejecting men or being the most beautiful. And obviously, not all women are like this, but a large percentage of beautiful women are locked into this type of seeking validation because it's so easy for them, right? So also becoming completely self-sufficient. You don't need anybody. You feel shame if you need to ask for help, so you never ask anybody for help, and you feel and then this will manifest in people pleasing. You'll just be like somebody that doesn't want to cross a line there. That you just feel like you don't need anybody else. You don't want to be a burden, or praise is such a big deal for you. Like, you take a compliment, it's that person now has all of your worth in their hands because they praised you, right? And last thing I mentioned, the last part, was that none of this satisfies because it's all fake. And a part of you, again, the self, knows this. Something inside of you, a whole part of you, knows that these solutions don't satisfy you. They don't give you the satisfaction. As the Rolling Stones famously sang, I can't get no satisfaction, right? This is just never ending. You're never going to get satisfaction from this fake you. It's not going to connect with anybody else. The only way you can connect is if you Have compassion for these parts that are protecting you, the part of you that wants to clown around, that's always laughing or joking to ease the tension because you cannot face being real. Only that part of you can get satisfaction. It's only then when you can really bond with somebody else. Only then can you connect with somebody else. Okay. And we're going to go into how to get the inner critic to work for you and actually, rather than constantly, I mean, it's still going to be difficult. It's still going to be difficult to you, but you're going to understand it better and you won't be so separate from it. You'll understand it a lot better. You'll have compassion for it. And eventually it does really get to a point where you rarely hear it. And I've had this myself. I've had this experience myself where I've come to understand my inner critic. I've got a very good relationship with my inner critic. And like I said, this inner critic has its own personality. It has its own feelings. It has its own body even. And we're going to go into that later. All right, let's carry on. That's it.